Hello, welcome to Pulling the Music Apart. On Dave today. I'm delighted to have Nolia Russell and our good friend Savis join me. As our name suggests, we're here to explore and analyse music. On this podcast, we'll be discussing John Michael Osbourne. Okay, who's going to start? You know who we're talking about, Savis.
Oh, you mean Ozzy Osbourne? Well, I think his nickname came from Osbourne. Ozzy. Then they just called him Ozzy Osbourne. From Birmingham in the UK. What a career. Massive. He was the lead singer of Black Sabbath originally and was ceremoniously kicked out of the band and became solo and was bigger than the band that he was in. Doesn't happen that many times, but it happened with Ozzy. Knowles, you want to add something?
Yeah, I remember reading about him being kicked out and him being a little bit cheesed off because he got kicked out because of his drug and alcohol abuse, but most of the people in Black Sabbath were actually doing the same thing. So there was a little bit of disappointed being kicked out.
He was problematic, I'm sure. I think he was badly behaved, and I think the rest of the band possibly had enough of it. We didn't get to see any of that, I'm sure. But you don't kick the lead singer, and he was, out of the band for nothing, do you?
And, you know, time and time again, he will say, if you watch any of his interviews, like the only thing he's ever wanted to do is perform and be a showman. And he does it in such a genuine way. You know, he loves his fans, or he loved his fans, and that was his whole purpose. Absolutely. And I believe absolutely everything he says. Whether you agree with how he's behaved in the past, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, he stayed true to who he was.
He was a performer. He was a showman. And I think a lot of what he did, what a funny bloke, by the way, too.
Oh, so funny.
So quick, fantastic sense of humour. Cheeky, naughty, swears all the time on stage and gets away with it. I heard this years ago that he auditioned for that job when he was at school as the lead singer. Tommy Iommi was putting a band together. They were unaware that they were hiring a bloke that Tommy, who was a big bloke. Tony Iommi used to beat him up and bully him because Ozzy wasn't a big boy, okay, he's a little fella, and used to pick on him. Anyway, so Tony's put the ad up at school, wanted lead singer for band. I don't think they were going to call it Black Sabbath at that stage, just a school band. Ozzy's applied for the job, had a meeting, and it's you. Was it Geezer, the other member?
Yeah.
Of the band? Who's the bass guitarist or?
Bass, yeah.
Yeah. He said, well, look, before you tell him to piss off, let's give him a go and audition. And the rest is history. I loved his voice, and he would have been a teenager back in those days.
Right, yeah. Well, the story that I heard was, you're correct, Tony Iommi was in a band with Ozzy. Geezer,
yes.
And Bill Ward, the drummer, were in another band, and they were looking for a singer, and Ozzy came over they went over to Ozzy's house. They knew him, and Tony Iommi happened to be there. They said, yeah, we want you in the band. And Ozzy said, I won't join unless you take Tony along as well.
Right.
And that's how it formed. But it was the formation of two separate bands that formed to create one. And their first ever name was called Earth.
Earth.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you want to hear the reason why they changed their name?
Yes.
Okay, so so they were doing pretty well in an area of the UK called the Midlands, and they used to perform as far north as Scotland. That was about as far as they went. They never went to London because they're a little bit kind of snotty and a little bit vulgar for that kind of sophisticated part of the UK. They were playing and performing, and one night they got booked, and they got up and were ready to play, and people walking in dressed up in suits and quite well dressed, and they started playing, and someone from the audience said, come on guys, play your hits, play the songs that we've come to see. And they go, we are playing our songs and we don't have any hits on the radio. What are you guys talking about? And the audience realized that they'd booked the wrong band. And there was another band called Earth that were becoming quite popular in the UK that had a hit on the radio. And then they thought, gee, we better change our name now. There was a cinema close by with the movie Black Sabbath being shown at that cinema, and they grabbed that name from there. They thought, why don't we do something different and create music that can scare people? People go to the cinema to be scared. Why don't we create music that people can be scared of?
And in the end of the day, they actually had some hits, I believe.
A lot of them. A lot of them, yeah. Yeah, a lot of platinum records.
What about you, David?
Well, I know a lot of bands claim to be the band who invented or launched heavy metal. I think it's fair to say Black Sabbath is the one. I mean, okay, sure, it's just rock and roll music, really. Probably you could even call it hard rock, but I really do believe they're the ones who grabbed that heavy metal thing and ran with it.
Yeah.
You reckon?
I agree. Like,
Yeah.
I think from an image perspective
Yeah.
and that whole darkness perspective, and I think lyrically singing about things that people don't sing about. You know, he was
Things that are
singing about
macabre and morbid. Yeah.
absolutely like witches and
Yeah. Black masses.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree.
Well, the term heavy metal was created by a journalist. So he went to go see that they went to America and he went to go see them and he wrote a review about them and he said, "Oh my God, they sound like a whole bunch of heavy metal being rattled together." And that's how the term was penned, heavy metal, by this journalist. And the term came back to the UK and Black Sabbath were offended by the term. We don't sound like heavy metal, and it stuck with them, and that's how the term was penned, and they were the first band to ever be labelled as heavy metal. And I think definitely they are the godfathers of heavy metal. That sound so dark and detuned and so forth.
Yeah, what a multifaceted artist, though. We all saw probably what arguably was the first reality show with the Osbournes. Has anyone seen that?
I love
Absolutely.
it.
I used to watch it all the time, and they were the first family to ever create reality TV show.
I would not be surprised if that was just them being themselves.
I would agree. I don't think that was scripted anywhere near as much as what reality TV is today, which is all scripted anyway. I really do believe a lot of that was just fly on the wall stuff.
And they were a normal family.
Yep.
Really, they were.
Yep.
With a lot of cursing, clearly,
Well,
for effect.
Just a normal dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like all of ours.
Yeah.
But in the face of that, being dysfunctional, they always appeared to have each other's backs. They were a loving family.
That's right.
They'd give each other stick and take the piss out of each other for sure.
Yeah.
But it was just them being them. Loved it.
I loved the whole honest, real approach to that reality TV show. Like, there's even bits where you see Ozzy walking around going, oh, there's dog shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's actually just picking up dog shit. And I'm thinking, I can relate to that, you know, and he's the one picking it up. And then, you know, just he goes to talk to his daughter, Kelly, to try and console her.
Yeah, I wonder how they came up with the idea for that, really.
Well, I reckon that, you know, they lived in LA and probably someone in the industry came over and thought, you guys are really entertaining. Just walking around this house is so entertaining. Imagine turning this into a show. People would love watching your day-to-day routine because it's just so entertaining. Like me just being here looking at you guys. Let's turn it into a reality TV show, you know.
Would that be over? It'd be over 20 years now.
Oh, yes.
30
25 years ago. But,
Okay, late 90s, early 2000s, right.
and in hindsight, looking at the way he used to shuffle around and mumble and bumble, and I know that there was alcohol involved, but in hindsight, he probably had early stages of his Parkinson's.
Absolutely.
You know, which, didn't he live with that for a long time? And function and perform. I've seen him a couple of times with Black Sabbath, and when he went solo for a while, who was he playing with? I'm just trying to think of the guitarist.
Zach Wilde.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an amazing guitarist. But that was one of his favourite guitarists, but Randy Rhoads was his favourite. And he does credit Randy Rhoads a lot.
Well, I think the reason is Randy Rhoads, that lineup brought him out of obscurity in the late 70s to the early 80s. And yeah, the album Blizzard of Oz was just, like, it's a classic. Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman. The first two Ozzy albums that featured Randy Rhoads, but unfortunately Randy died at 22 in a plane crash.
I know, so young. But did you know he was actually planning on leaving?
Yeah.
He'd actually, when his contract ran out, well, when it was going to run out, he'd actually planned to leave Ozzy because he wanted to move on to something else because I think Ozzy was so out of control, it was just really hard to work with him. So he was actually planning on, you know, even though they got along really well, professionally, he needed to move on.
Just a question for everybody, and you don't even give the reasons, just a simple question. Favourite song, solo, by Ozzy?
I'll start with you, Knowles. I need some time to think.
I need some time to think because there's actually so many of them.
Pick one. This is a desert island, disc, so to speak. You're going to go to a desert island. You can only take one of his songs with you.
Right. I'll start with I Don't Know, which is the title track, the first track that he released solo off Blizzard of Oz. I just remember listening to it for the first time and thinking, this is phenomenal. Not just Ozzy's voice, Randy's guitar playing, and I've got to add in Bob Daisley from Australia played bass and wrote the lyrics to all the songs on Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, virtually all. Unfortunately, Ozzy takes credit for writing the lyrics, but he did not.
I've been listening to Osmosis a lot lately.
Right, great album.
Not just the songs, but the production. Have you noticed how amazing that production was? Do you know who actually produced that album?
I don't, but I know who played bass on it. It was the bass player of Alice in Chains.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah. Zach, obviously on guitar. And we were talking before with Norlia and Mama I'm Coming Home. The lyrics were definitely not written by Ozzy. They were written by Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead.
But there's the rumor is that it was a song for Sharon.
Well, he took credit for it, and Lemmy was like in an interview saying, "Ozzy, you did not write that song. I did."
Well, he actually, but there was song. He did a song for Amy.
Right.
He's done a song for Jack.
Okay.
I don't know if it was about Jack or his other son actually, but it was written about his little boy.
Right. I think Ozzy was a great product, and Sharon knew how to market him.
Yeah.
But in terms of being a fantastic musician, I mean, it's debatable. If I get flack for it, bad luck. But he was a great product. Sharon knew how to market him, and she always surrounded him by the best musicians in the industry at the time.
If he was writing the vocal melodies, how was he doing that?
Well, what's happening is they're giving him the music, and he's just humming melodies over the top, and then they're giving him lyrics to add in.
Okay, so I was wondering whether you would know this too. Like sometimes you get a melody in your head, and you go, "Oh, that's a really good melody," and you can record it.
No, he didn't come up with the melodies. No, they just played in the music, and he was like, and humming over the top, and or singing some word. Okay. They gave him the lyrics, and they filled in the gaps for him.
But he always hit the note.
Oh, no, great singer. Don't get me wrong. The voice, the conviction, the presentation, his whole image, A grade. But taking credit for writing the lyrics and being part of the songwriting process, sorry.
Have you got a song, David?
Crazy Train.
Yeah. I know it's an obvious one, isn't it?
But it just stands out.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Iron Man, but that was the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Iron Man's my favourite. But Crazy Train solo, yeah.
It's so well known, and the younger set know that song.
I think he could do a great ballad. I love his ballads. I really do. I love I just love Ozzy Osbourne, but I love his ballads. Goodbye to Romance. Love that song. Brings back lots of memories. The other one, which gets me choked up, See You on the Other Side from Osmosis. Oh my God. And all the songs are quite long, aren't they?
My example of that one, and it's a long song, it's got everything, off his sixth studio album, and it's a title track, No More Tears.
Great song.
It's a long song, and think about it, you talk about formulas and songs, intro, great chorus, has a bridge in it. It's one of those super long bridges, which, have a listen to it, reminds me of Breakfast in America, Supertramp. There's that one little passage in it where it actually sounds like that. Amazing song. And it's a big production too. Yeah. No More Tears. Well, it didn't get a lot of airplay, did it?
It was still a massive album.
Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah. I think people that bought Ozzy's music were into the albums, that they would like. It was a complete piece of music. You would listen to from start to finish.
You didn't need to convince an Ozzy Osbourne fan to go.
Yeah. No. Singles were just kind of just promotional things to try to get them to buy the album.
Would you guys agree there's nobody else like Ozzy Osbourne? Do you think he's just one and only? And do you think he's also sort of so authentic and being himself that he's caused this ripple effect with other musicians being able to embrace who they are and not apologetic?
I would agree with that. And, you don't hear anything bad about Ozzy because he's an open book. He's the first to admit that he's had his battle with alcohol over the years. He's the first to admit he's had bad behaviour issues. You can't really throw anything at him, can you? He gives Sharon credit for saving his life. And
she's probably a great wife. Yeah. Ruthless business person.
And he was out of a job.
Yeah.
And she convinced her father to give him a try. And didn't that work?
It did. Jet Records, that was the name of his label.
I admire her savvy business way, and I also admire her for being a wife because, honestly, she would have been his nurse a lot of the time.
Yeah.
When he was having withdrawals, there's a lot of things that we don't even know about, and that she's shared some things that have happened, like when he tried to strangle her and things like that. She's told the press he's cheated on her multiple times.
And the other way around too.
Yeah. Well, you don't hear about that as much. You hear about it from her perspective, don't you? When he was interviewed, he's like, the only thing I've ever wanted to do is music. There's really nothing else I could do. The interviewer says, well, what would you be if you weren't a rock and roll star? He goes, a burglar. And she goes, oh, really, a burglar? And what would you burgle? He goes, ladies' underwear.
All right, let's start with Ozzy's solo career, which began in 1980. The first album was Blizzard of Oz. I think we've already kind of noted a couple of the big songs. My favorite was I Don't Know That, which is the opening track. And somebody mentioned Crazy Train, which is second. There was also a song on that album called Suicide Solution, which we were just looking up before that someone had committed suicide in the United States and blamed Ozzy for the lyrics to encourage him to do it. But looking at the lyrics, it's actually an anti-suicide song, so it's a bit of a contradiction there. Is Goodbye to Romance on that first album, Norlia? Blizzard of Oz?
Blizzard of Oz, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was Norley's favourite too, so that's an action-packed one there. Second album was Diary of a Madman, a lot heavier, a lot deeper rock album, again with Randy Rhoads, Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake, and that was the final time that they all played together. The big song off that one was You Can't Kill Rock and Roll and Mama's Gonna Worry, I've been a bad, bad boy. What song's that? Flying High Again. That was a big one off that one. And then the third album was introduction of J.K. Lee, who took Randy's place and was Bark at the Moon. Big song off that one. And then after that, and I'll stop after this one and let someone else take over, was The Ultimate Sin, which had one of my favourite Aussie songs called Shot in the Dark, which is a very big one.
Yeah. Have you seen the film clip for that? Oh, it's so 80s, isn't it?
Very 80s.
Shot in the dark.
That's a great song.
Yeah. One step away from you. I reckon that is such a great 80s hair metal song. Don't you?
I love it.
I love it too.
The blonde tips and everything teased and...
Yeah, but the girl in the film clip too, and her eyes turn red. That's supposed to be really spooky in the film clip.
And I'll leave the next one up to you, Knowles, because Jay Keeley departed after The Ultimate Sin. Zach Wilde joined. What album was the first album that Zach Wilde played on? He had a big tenor in the band.
Yeah, he sure did. No Rest for the Wicked.
No Rest for the Wicked, correct. What songs were off that? I kind of lost interest after Jay Keeley. Miracle Man, that was the big one. Crazy Babies, Bloodbath in Paradise, right.
So I'd like to actually feature an album that resonated with me. So this is back in 2005, and it was a little unusual in that every song on it was a cover. Okay, so the album was called Undercover, and this is actually showcasing all of Ozzy's absolute favourite songs. Isn't it great that he gets to sing and cover artists that he likes best? I don't know whether you remember this one. He did a great cover of John Lennon's Woman, and there was a film clip where it was quite an emotional one because he was walking through the streets and you could see people recognising him and all pointing and staring at Ozzy. It was real, and he made his way to Central Park to John Lennon's memorial plaque just to lay a wreath and leaned over it, and it was anyone that didn't get emotional watching that clip, doesn't have the emotional bone in their body. So he covered songs like Rocky Mountain Way, Joe Walsh song. And if you haven't heard these, take the time to have a listen to it. In My Life, which was a Beatles song. Mississippi Queen.
Mountain.
Yep. Go Now. Go Now. Go Now. You know the song I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Moody Blues.
Oh, yeah. Was it?
Go Now. That was a Moody Blues song, yeah.
All the young dudes. Now,
Not in the Hoople, yeah.
and also David Bowie.
Yeah.
Bowie, yeah.
And it sounds like David Bowie.
Yes, who also performed it. And, everyone is asked to give their favourite version of a song. I'm putting that up there. I like all three versions. Anyway,
right.
yeah. Good Times, which was that an Easy Beat song originally?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Good Times. Sunshine of Your Life.
Cream, Sunshine of Your Love. Was Fire a Hendrix song? The Let Me Step Into Your Fire.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I'd like to hear Sympathy for the Devil by Ozzy. How
It's
good would that be?
Amazing. And when you think about it, these are his favourite songs and the artists that have influenced him or had the most influence on him over the years.
A lot of John Lennon, working class hero.
Yeah,
John
yes.
Lennon's solo song.
Oh, I like that one. He
Accentuates one word.
yeah, that naughty F word, but he actually really, really highlights it.
Yeah, they turned the volume up on that, didn't they?
Well, he did say that there would be no Ozzy Osbourne if there was no Beatle. He just loved them so much. He wanted to be a Beatle. I saw him say that in an interview. I know what I'll be listening to tonight.
Has anyone heard any Ozzy Osbourne albums live at the Budokan 2002? I was there.
Were you in Japan?
Yeah, I was in Japan.
Wow.
I went to the concert.
Really?
And I didn't know that it was being recorded. And about 15 minutes in, Ozzy Osbourne screams out and says, "This is going to be recorded for a DVD." And I was holding onto the handrail, and I got so excited, I nearly pulled it off the wall. Because I thought, here's my chance to be in a live DVD, and I was waving my hands trying to get attention. I watched the video and I can't see myself.
Oh,
No,
I think
but
I
I
had
was
a
there.
similar.
Probably because you almost pulled it off the wall.
Yeah. I think I had a similar experience at a U2 concert. I had about 4 people away from Bono, and I had the war banner.
Did you?
And I was jumping up and down and screaming out, "Bono! Bono!" and had the war banner. And eventually he made eye contact with me. And I thought, tick, bucket list. I've made eye contact with Bono. That was a very cool experience because I actually did not buy those tickets to that seat. I walked in and the seat ushers grabbed me and said, "You come with me," and took me up the front.
Did they?
And left all my friends behind. And they had the seats in the nosebleeds.
Well, I think they just wanted some good-looking people at the front.
Well, that's what I was hoping for. Now, I actually didn't even think anything at the time, but now looking back, I'm thinking, I wonder if there was a video.
Let's talk about the final concert. You guys watched snippets of it and so forth. A lot of big guests, organised by the guitarist of Rage Against the Machine. Help me, Norlia, what's his name?
Tom Morello?
Tom Morello. He's the one who organised the concert.
Right?
Correct, yeah. And he organised all the people to come along. Special guest, Guns N' Roses' performance was average at best, a lot of people said. Norlia, any thoughts? You sent me a video of Axl singing.
Unfortunately, even when Axl was peaking around the same time as Skid Row coming out, they had the Cold Apart concert. Did you ever go to that one?
I didn't, but you told me about it.
It rained so much that it turned into a wet T-shirt contest. It was very rock and roll. I remember distinctly that Sebastian Bach from Skid Row out-sang Axl Rose. But when you listen to Axl now, he hasn't looked after his voice. Either that or he's just done that much damage to it from singing like that. But then I would have thought his voice wouldn't have been so bad because there are people that have been singing for longer than him and sound better than him. I don't know, Sabbath, what do you think?
Well, I just hate to say it, but he just doesn't have the passion anymore. I think it's become just a Guns N' Roses machine, and they're just touring and stretching it out as much as they can to make as much money as possible until people get sick of them. I mean, they haven't released any original material, and they're just playing off maybe 2 or 3 albums from the late 80s, early 90s. So,
I mean, you see it with bands like Motley Crue as well. Like, the vocalist was such a key feature of the band. I mean, if you think of Guns N' Roses and you look at how Axl moved on stage, you know how he did that shuffle side to side, and everyone, all the guys in the world at that time with long hair had the bandanas and wanted to be like Axl Rose. And now it's kind of disappointing watching him because he's not that person anymore.
right.
Okay, so look at the sunny side of that final Aussie concert with Axl Rose there. So to say he was average at best, that means what performance was upgraded to average then?
Right. Well, he attempted to do a Black Sabbath song, and he chose a really hard one, and it was kind of a little bit out of his league, I thought. I thought he should have chose a easy one. But anyway, all different performers got up and did renditions of Black Sabbath songs and Ozzy songs as well. You know, the encore was Black Sabbath. They were meant to do maybe 7 songs, I believe, but that soccer or football pavilion had a curfew and they only got 5 in. And what did you think of him sitting on his throne?
I thought it was amazing, and it was a genuine thanks to his fans too.
Right.
And you could see that there was no fanfare for him. It wasn't about him. It was about his fans. And he had the opportunity to say goodbye. What was his last words? God bless you all.
Yeah. And that's a thing too. I think he was very spiritual. You know, how he's had this Prince of Darkness image his whole life. Before he went on stage, if you've ever seen any footage of him backstage, he's always doing the cross. He's jumping up and down and getting all warmed up, and he's doing the cross.
I don't think he was a devil worshipper.
He definitely wasn't.
Not at all.
And he was always saying, God bless you, God bless you. So I think, you know, he was very good at creating an image, but he didn't live that image. And I think he mentioned that several times. He goes, you know, people think, oh, walk around, you know, eating heads off bats, you know. That's not who I am. I'm a showman. He's like Alice Cooper, and Alice Cooper doesn't.
Absolutely.
And Alice Cooper is sober as you get.
Oh, he cleaned up his act over 30 years ago. I think maybe 35, 40 years ago. Yeah.
He doesn't walk around looking like that. He's just a regular guy, and I love that.
Normally, from a female's point of view, I can definitely say that Alice Cooper is not an attractive man. But what about Ozzy Osbourne? Do you think he was an attractive man?
I think he was very attractive.
Okay, I thought so too.
I thought that as a young man, I thought he was really gorgeous looking. And the other part that makes him so attractive is his sense of humour.
Right.
I mean, you could be the best looking guy in the world, but if you are not a nice person, you're ugly to me.
Right.
So I think he was the whole package in that way. And what I like about men and women as they age, they kind of evolve. They don't try and look like they did when they were 20. And I think the way that his whole image was right up into the end, I actually think he looked kind of classy for the Prince of Darkness. You know, his hair was always really clean and he was always very well dressed as the Prince of Darkness. So I think he looked really good.
Lots of jewelry.
Yeah, but he just looked so authentic.
Sort of looked a bit like Yoko Ono near the end.
I wonder if he was wearing those little John Lennon glasses as honouring John Lennon.
I would have no doubt about that.
Yeah, because that looks like it would be one of the reasons why he was wearing them.
Well, again, have
Kelly
a look at the
wore
cover
them.
of Woman and you'll see that he is madly
Right.
with John Lennon.
And Kelly Osbourne wore them at his funeral in respect for her father. They really suit him. They really, really do. As they suited John Lennon. It's funny, he's got that particular face that those glasses would suit.
Yeah, and also, you know when he cut his hair short?
In the 80s, it would have been, yeah.
That wasn't a good look for him then.
No.
He suits the long hair right to the end. But how many older men suit that kind of hairstyle? He was able to pull that off right until the end.
I'd like to know, what was the last thing that he recorded? I know that they recorded the album with Black Sabbath called 13, just before the farewell tour. I wonder if he recorded any solo albums later on. Ozzy Osbourne's last recording was a studio album, Patient Number 9. All right, well, that's a cover.
There has to be a John Lennon reference with number 9.
Yeah, because we had the big 3 guitar players that I mentioned, Randy Rhoads, J.K. Lee, and Zakk Wylde. And for an album, or maybe an album and a half or 2 albums, they had a guitar player from Greece called Gus G, my bad. His real name is Konstantinos Garamutridis.
Only Savas can say it like that.
What does everyone think of Ozzy's replacement when he was sacked from the band in 79, Ronnie James Dio?
Wow.
Have seen him.
Love him. You've seen him live?
Yeah.
Really?
It was called Black Sabbath, obviously.
Yeah.
This would have been 15 years ago.
I remember.
Here in Melbourne.
I remember you went to that.
You legend. I can't believe you went.
Oh, it was amazing.
Well, that's one of my biggest regrets is not going to that.
Yeah, I remember
You'll never get to see him again.
No.
See, that makes does that make you feel better, Savas?
Well, I mean, Dio was, I think he's one of the greatest voices in heavy metal, rock and roll. Yeah.
And isn't he one of those unusual transitions when you replace a lead singer, a la AC/DC, where you get another singer with a different style of voice, although he had that high register.
Yeah.
He slotted straight in and, Black Sabbath is still going.
Wow.
As a result of Ron Dio's good work.
I've got a higher respect for your taste in music now.
Yeah.
Oh, because
as opposed to how you
I always
felt
I said higher. It was already high. But Dio, wow, it's pretty deep.
So did everyone see the funeral or parts of the funeral?
Yeah, I think you weren't on planet Earth if you didn't. But yeah, I did. Yeah, did. It was very, very sad. And how many people came out in his hometown? The streets were full. He's such a celebrity. And they want to rename the airport in Birmingham.
Is that right?
After Ozzy Osbourne, and they want a statue of him there.
I mean, how lucky is he to get to choose the way he checked out?
Right.
A final concert where, by his own admission, he was dying. Okay. I'm not saying he choreographed the whole thing, including his funeral, or maybe he did, but it was just this beautiful transition of a final show, sitting in the chair. It was obvious it's physically, it was limited in what he could do, but he did a concert. Not many people get to do that.
I think it was quite an emotional concert because I think everyone that was close to him knew, you know how John Farnham and Kiss, final concert. Oh, there's a final concert every 2 years or 5 years or something. It's like that was actually sticking to his honest and genuine personality. That actually was his final concert. So I guess people knew he actually was really ill and he didn't have very long to live. So I don't know if they knew how long he had to live, but I don't know who organised it, but I think it may have been organised fairly quickly.
No, it took 2 years.
Really?
It took 2 years to organise. So a lot of people say that with his willpower, he was holding on just to finish it.
Right.
Yeah, it took 2 years to book the venue, get all the bands together. It's 2 years in the making. Sharon did it. In a beautiful way, all the money from the tickets went to charity.
Yeah.
So everyone that performed there performed for free.
So maybe the planning and the production bought him 2 years of life.
Correct.
Of hope as well.
And he did it, and he knew that it was the final curtain, and 2 weeks later he passed. Extremely sad.
I felt sad. It's got to do with his personality as well.
The tributes that have come from artists, not even from his genre, speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And the personal endorsements from people like Elton John, who said he's a good mate and he had the best sense of humour.
Yep. And he's really good friends with Alice Cooper. And I just kept going back to it was just him as a person. He was just a wonderful, funny kind of guy. And I guess all of us that liked his music can link it back to a moment in time.
And he's finished where he started, basically.
Right.
In his hometown.
Exactly. With the guys that he began with.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. If you think about it. A full circle. Right. I was listening to an interview with Vinny Appice, who was the drummer of Black Sabbath, and he was talking about Ronnie James Dio. We mentioned him before, the singer who took over from Ozzy when he left Sabbath. And the first song that he played with Ronnie James Dio was Neon Nights.
Right.
And the final song that he played with him, which is the concert that you went to, that tour, was Neon Nights. So Vinny just did a full circle from the first time he met Ronnie James Dio to the end. We should probably talk about Ronnie James Dio in another episode. But Norlia had mentioned amazing duets that Ozzy did, and she brought one up. What was it, Norls?
It was his duet with Lita Ford, and it was called Close My Eyes Forever. They both wrote it when they were drunk, but turned out to be a really cool ballad.
It's worth noting he also did a duet with his daughter. And I know it wasn't the best version ever, but it's his own flesh and blood, and they did cover their own song, which is Changes.
Right.
And I do know that they auto-tuned her voice, Kelly, and it was actually him singing to his daughter.
Right.
And her singing to her father because they changed the lyrics. I love you, Daddy.
Right.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's beautiful. She was very young when they did it. She was like a teenager. And the other notable one is with Lemmy from Motorhead in 1992, a song called Ain't No Nice Guy. It's Lemmy sings a verse, then Ozzy sings a verse, then they both come in on the chorus, and Slash Hudson from Guns N' Roses did the guitar solo. And I think that Ozzy did that as a favor to Lemmy because Lemmy had written a lot of the lyrics, or some of the lyrics, to some Ozzy songs like Mama, I'm Coming Home, Hellraiser, I Don't Want to Change the World. And maybe he did it as a favor to sing it, to give the album a little bit of a lift by having special guest of Ozzy Osbourne.
Is his death the end of an era? I mean, his legend will live on, obviously.
No, I don't think it's the end of it. I think it's just, music just continues. No one's indispensable, I think. There'll be new stars in the future and they'll take on from his legacy and move forward.
I think he's got a lot of young musicians
No doubt.
that I think even he's been introduced to through his daughter, or even probably Jack as well. Kelly and Jack have introduced him to a lot of youthful.
Marry the DJ or the guy that spins the records in Slipknot or something?
I think something like that.
Right.
Yeah, and he proposed in front of Ozzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'll be one of those artists that we remember, and when we hear him, we're going to smile. Smile on the inside, It's just, he has made a massive impact. It's always sad, isn't it, when you lose an artist like that?
Right. But he wasn't out to make it sad at the end either.
No, but I feel like people have gotten to know him because he was so vulnerable. He was so honest, unapologetically himself. I think we can all take a bit of that from who he was. For me, that's a legacy that he's left. Just be yourself,
He was never going to be produced, was he, as an artist?
Right.
By a machine.
Right.
Or he produced himself.
Exactly.
He was himself.
Self-made, yeah.
I think also...
Take it or F and leave it.
But how many years did the Osbournes run for? Do you know the show? How many years?
Quite a few episodes, quite a few seasons, I should say.
Okay, so I feel like he's had a big impact because he let people into his life.
It was only 3 years.
But there would have been so many people that probably didn't listen to his music but would have watched that show that would have made a connection with him that way as well.
True.
How it wasn't scripted. I think that tends to make people grow connections more easily. Because I've never watched the Kardashians.
Well, because they're boring.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this episode. If you have any questions or just like to leave a comment, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Pulling the Music Apart. Our next episode is almost ready, so stay tuned for its release. Until then, keep listening to the music, and thanks for tuning in.